When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. Septum Sin versus the world. 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 I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching Septum Sen versus the World. I'm Septum Sen, this is Kotobuki Jake.
Hey.
And we're here to show you what they got.
Yeah.
I get my hat. There we go.
It's good times.
But again, no Gundam.
No Gundam. But a lot of re-releases this week. A few releases, but a lot of re-releases.
So let's show you what they got in this video.
Video.
Well, the one that just went. Alright, go for it.
Okay. So, this is, like I said, a lot, but really it's kind of light on releases this week. But we found a few that were interesting. And the first one I want to kick off with is we've made reference a few times to the fact that a couple of seasons we attempted to sample the offerings of the world of anime. And, before we really launch into it, since we kind of do some news on this too, speaking of the world of anime, the big news from last week, the very, very, very unfortunate and tragic news from last week, Kyoto Animation, or KyoAni, as I fondly know them, and many people do, the studio that produced A Silent Voice, Melancholy Haruhi Suzumiya, Lucky Star, Clannad, Kenon, K-On!, a whole bunch of good stuff, Full Metal Panic, a bunch of really great stuff. They are known for their brilliant, expressive animation, and also for being the first major animation studio headquartered outside of Tokyo. Some asswipe decided to burn the place to the ground. He set fire during business hours when there were 70-some people in the building. He killed 34 people, injured 34 people, got injured himself, but he deserved worse. they're saying this is the worst attack on Japanese soil, except for one attack in the early aughts since World War II. Oh man, this dude, the things people do just pisses me off.
Yeah.
And this was not even, from what I can tell, our news barely picked up on it. And I'm like, come on. You know, I guess we're so desensitized with all the freaking attacks that happen here nowadays. But whatever. But I wanted to mention that in a sign of respect for KyoAni.
Yep.
They deserve all your attention. I know Sentai is raising funds for them, and I think some other people are.
And as a tribute to them, Septum Sen versus the World, our channel is going to be putting the link in the description to the Sentai fundraiser on GoFundMe. So if you can, check it out, give them some money. All our videos this week are going to have that in the description, with a small mention in each video. This will probably be the largest mention, but we want to make sure that that they get some help. They're already raised quite a bit. They've almost doubled their goal.
Nice.
Actually, no, they've more than doubled their goal because they had gotten almost 2 million and they were only looking for 700 and some thousand.
Oh, wow.
So that was the last time I checked. So again, my hearts go out to the families. If you can, if you have the money, donate.
And of course, we'll be mentioning KyoAni on other videos this week for other reasons.
Yes.
Particularly, check out our video of the best anime films. KyoAni will be mentioned on that video. So, at any rate, an anime that did not come from KyoAni, and it's debatably in the same class as some of those films. But I wanted to talk about it just because we have been talking about how Funimation is doing their Essentials line, and I really wonder how they're defining Essentials. One of these times that we did our preview session, we watched two very similar shows that really weren't that similar, but they were similar enough that we keep getting them confused, and we've talked about this before. There's one that's called Senran Kagura, and the other one was called Maken-Ki Battling Venus. If I remember correctly, Senran Kagura got the Essentials treatment about a month ago, and now Maken-Ki is getting... So basically, it's about a school where there's a lot of fighting. And if I remember correctly, this is the series where the amount of power that the girls have is very closely tied to boobies.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of show. I remember the first episode being fun. I remember it being fun and kind of trashy. The fact that Funimation's calling it essential just amuses me, so I had to mention it.
Yeah. So you're gonna be getting it?
If I get it cheap enough.
Well, speaking of things that you've got to get, and a little bit trashy, Cutie Honey is getting another release. We saw Cutie Honey Universe last week. This time it's going to be New Cuty Honey, the OVA. Now, this is nothing new. I actually have the ADV release of this one. This is actually the Cutie Honey that most of us know pretty well, actually as one of the only ones released in the United States, at least as far as video was concerned.
The only piece I have in my collection.
For like ages. And then eventually they released the original series. So it's kind of cool to see them getting that, but who knows? I mean, I'm still waiting for the live action show to get released.
I think I have that edition, actually. Huh.
I mean, I think I talked about Cutie Honey last time. I don't need to talk about it this time.
Okay.
And while you talk, I'm going to put a rambunctious kitten that wants to interrupt our videos up for a little bit.
Goodbye, Mr. Anderson. Yeah. So I'm going to do one more anime, and then I promise I'll move on to something else. This is one of the absolute classic anime, and it is... it got a very small discount this week. Sentai Filmworks was running a sale, which is over, but it's Sentai. They do sales frequently. And they did a slight discount on some of their pre-orders, and One item that they put up is a Steelbook collector's edition of the classic series Elfin. This is the original Sentai release, which we both have, and both of our copies are still unopened and unwatched. I had the original, I think it was ADV Films that did a chipboard box with 2 slip covers, and it was called the Diclonius Report, and it was a really cool looking set. But this one has the OVA and Blu-ray, so I upgraded. I love Elfin. Check out our video on Best Anime Series. Elfin is one of the best series. It has one of the best openers. I don't think I talked about that, but Lilium is this gorgeous hymn that is a frequent musical cue throughout the series. And they have a really gorgeous Japanese language version of the hymn is the opening theme. And the ending theme is a sort of alt-rock, sounds kind of like April Lavigne to me, sort of like a teen alt-rock song called Be Your Girl. Does not seem to fit the series at all, but it's a nice palate cleanser because this is a dark series. I love it. I would love to get the Steelbook, but it's kind of pricey, so I don't know if I will.
Yeah, for basically nothing much of an upgrade, really.
But if you are a collector and you have money and you somehow do not have one of the 20 previous editions, because I kid you not, this is probably one of the most released series in this country.
Other than Kino's Journey.
I think there's more Elfin copies. But if you don't have it yet, or you're willing to spring for an expensive one, Steelbook.
Yep. Alright, so another great film by a great director, actually a very acclaimed film, and winning of an Oscar.
And by a director who has another film that I am chomping at the bit to watch.
So, this one particular, Elsa Kazan.
Elia,
okay.
Kazan.
Released Streetcar named Desire. Now, this is my copy. There's another copy, looks almost identical to it. I guess it's Blu-ray. And I'm not really sure if it's all that for this.
If they took the trouble to really clean it up, I think it would look good on Blu-ray, actually.
Still, I don't know if it's... To me, it's just not worth it. It's an excellent performance. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Robert De Niro does an excellent job.
No, it's not Robert De Niro.
Or not Robert De Niro? Oh, wait, no, it's Marlon Brando. I'm thinking the one where he plays the boxer.
Raging Bull?
Yes, I'm thinking Raging Bull. Okay.
Slightly different.
Slightly different film. But they both play slightly abusive individuals.
Only slightly.
Those. So, but it is an excellent performance. You have, Kim Hunter as well. And again, to me...
And Vivian Lee, notably.
It's one of the hardest ones I've watched for a while when it comes to Oscar winners. And it's a long one. It's a 2-hour one, but it feels like 3 hours to me.
It does. I watched this movie, the first and only time I seen it was in high school, 11th grade, I believe, and I hated it.
It's nowhere near as fun as The Simpsons, have me believe it.
Now again, I will grant you it was well done, but I hated it with a passion. But like most things, if you come back to it at a different point in your life, maybe. This is on my list of ones to try again. Elia Kazan is the director behind a film that I just got from Criterion that I'm chomping at the bit to watch, which is A Face in the Crowd. And so it might be nice to revisit this one, having just done that one.
Why isn't this one? Why isn't this on Criterion?
That's a very good question.
Really?
Maybe they all hated it. Speaking of Oscar-winning films, we'll go ahead and head on to the end. And Oscar-winning films I first saw in high school. The film Glory, which is an Edward Zwick film, right? Am I remembering that correctly? Well, Glory, which it is a Civil War film, takes place in a primarily, if I recall correctly, I think it takes place primarily in South Carolina, but I might be remembering that wrong. I remember the climactic final battle was in South Carolina, but I might be remembering that wrong because it mostly follows a northern regiment. But if memory serves correctly, the regiment included Denzel Washington in an Oscar-winning role, Matthew Broderick, Carrie Elwes, and I want to say Morgan Freeman. It's been a while since I've seen this film, but it's a really good film. Denzel did win the first of his 2 acting Oscars for this film, and it's just, if you like a Civil War film, you gotta give it a go one of these days. I will probably not be upgraded. This is a 4K release. I believe my release is already on Blu Ray, so I need to check that out first and see if it's really looks to me like it's worth going any better than that. I actually originally had a really nice collector's edition on VHS that I never watched. It just looked really cool. But one of the few VHSs I may keep for a while, even though I really don't do VHS anymore. But it is a well worth film, and if you haven't seen it, check it out. This is your chance to check it out in very high definition.
Well, the last I've got is a Lupin the Third movie. I always do Lupin the Third movies because I basically collect everything Lupin as it's released here when I can. This time I can't collect it as it's released, but I can try.
You'll probably get it before I do.
Yeah, probably. And they're not usually expensive.
I've been slacking on my Lupin, but one day.
I have an extensive Lupin collection here, and if you ever want to see what's been released here, except for the second season, but I do have pretty much all that was, and more that was released here than was released previously, because I have the original dub is on the first 2 volumes of that, which is all that was released here. And then, of course, Volume 3 and Volume 4 are supposed to have just the sub because there was no dub recorded. But this one is Lupin the Third, Blood Seal, The Eternal Mermaid. Maybe there's a relation to Mermaid Scar in this one.
Wouldn't that be something?
Be a nice extra.
Yeah.
Not going to happen, but it'd be a nice extra to have on it.
Right.
But if you haven't seen any Lupin, what's wrong with you? Alas, Monkey Punch did pass away.
Yeah.
We did cover one Lupin film for Inside Movies Galore. We did cover Castle Cagliostro.
Yeah.
We almost covered another one because there was one up for vote, but sadly only one person voted for it, which was the first Lupin the Third movie.
Well, the first animated one.
Yeah, animated one.
The live action one is delightful.
It is actually funny that the live action movie beat out the first animated one.
Right. They probably made it and said, "Man, we need to go to animation for this." Yeah.
Oh man.
Yep. So, I want to briefly mention that Deadly Class is getting a first season release, right? And I have not seen the show, but it looks cool. And speaking of shows that look interesting, at least, Deadly Class is Netflix, or was that Hulu? What was the streamer for that?
What?
Deadly Class.
No clue.
I know that was a streaming one. One that did stream on Netflix. That Netflix is hit or miss on doing physical releases. They are maddeningly slow on releasing the stuff we really want. But they're putting out it was first and second season, right? Am I remember that correctly?
Whatever. Yeah, probably.
We should have put that down. But anyway, I think it's first and second season. But Netflix is putting out a release of their series Bojack Horseman. Now, I don't know if you've seen...
Well, that is the first and second season.
Yeah, first and second, yeah. Now, I don't know if you've seen Bojack Horseman. I have seen a large portion of it because one of my brothers is a big fan. And it's a weird-ass show. Basically, it's a show where a large percentage, if not most of the populace, are basically human. Well, a large portion of the populace look human, and a large portion of the populace look like animals with human, or humans with animal heads, basically, with some other animal characteristics. And the main character is a horseman.
Oh, yeah.
And he is played by Will Arnett. And he is a moderately successful actor living in Hollywood, living the high life in Hollywood. There is a cat who is his agent. There's a dumbass dog who is like his rival as an actor. And there's a lot of other random characters. It has a lot of interesting bit roles, like people showing up in small roles. But like I said, Will Arnett's the main star of the series. It has a pretty kick-ass opening sequence and opening theme song, and was one I actually considered for our video on best opening TV themes. But other than that, it's a weird show, and it's an acquired taste. If you really like kind of drugged out humor, you would probably enjoy it. It's not for everyone, but I'll probably get it one of these days just because it was such an interesting oddity. But
Well,
yeah,
I guess that's it for this time. Of course, again, if you have the money, check out that GoFundMe.
Yeah.
And if not, that's fine. You can always like, share, and subscribe. Of course, you could also share that GoFundMe
Yes.
to try and get more funds raised for the people.
indeed.
So, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you on the next one.